Welcome to Nasdaq TradeTalks, where we meet with the top thought leaders and strategists in emerging technologies, digital assets, regulatory landscape, and capital markets. I'm your host, Jill Malandrino, and joining me this afternoon, we have Sergey Nazarov, co-founder of Chainlink, and Stani Kulecov, founder and CEO of Aave Labs. We're here to discuss powering next-generation applications for banking, asset management, and other major sectors. Aave Labs are the developer of the Aave protocol, which allows users to supply and borrow a wide range of digital assets without intermediaries, and Chainlink, the standard for on-chain finance, verifiable data, and cross-chain interoperability, has enabled over 18 trillion US dollars in transaction value across the blockchain economy. It is great to see the both of you. As always, welcome back to Trade Talks. Stani, let's kick it off with you. Can you highlight a few major Aave developments for the past year?
Yeah, thanks for having me back. And I would say that 2024 has been a really big year for Aave. So we grow more than the previous years combined, and currently standing at 34 billion net deposits. And this is very impressive for a decentralized protocol that is running on the blockchain and governed by a community of members. And a lot of the growth has been coming from different market deployments. So Ethereum as a scaling strategy is scaling with layers on top of the network, and each of these so-called L2 layer has a market like Aave, where you can have interest rates earn and then use those digital assets as a collateral and borrow against. And that's like a fundamental piece of infrastructure that almost every blockchain needs. And during the past year, we had over 200 DAO proposals where the community has been voting on changing different kinds of parameters, new asset listings, and that has been a very big part of the growth for us.
And Sergey, what were the key breakthroughs for Chainlink in 2024?
So Chainlink has continued to power the majority of DeFi throughout 2024, including Aave, successfully and securely, which it's done over many years now. That's always something we're very proud of. Beyond that, the cross-chain token standard that uses CCIP has become increasingly widely adopted as the native bridge solution of multiple chains, such as Ronin and others. So the cross-chain standard that Chainlink makes in the form of CCIP has gotten wider and wider adoption in 2024. And also the capital markets progress, where in addition to powering DeFi on the cross-chain side and on the data side, now the capital markets across the largest financial institutions, the largest banks, the largest asset managers are starting to adopt that same standard for data and cross-chain connectivity. And then there is a final piece, which is the Chainlink runtime environment, which weaves together all the cross-chain and data and identity capabilities of Chainlink into a single unified system. And that has gone into private early access this past year and planning to go into general access this year. So all of those kind of pieces of adoption are now coming together to make Chainlink the standard in DeFi, which it has been for years, as well as the standard in capital markets, and then weaving those two worlds together on the same set of data, cross-chain, and identity standards, and allowing that to happen on a single development environment, the Chainlink runtime environment.
Mm-hmm. And Stani, with Aave sitting well over $20 billion total value locked, are we entering a new era of DeFi, if you will? What fundamentals are driving Aave's leadership in the DeFi space?
Yeah, it's quite interesting because Aave essentially is it's a decentralized protocol that is permissionless. It doesn't really have a leadership. It has a decentralized organization where anyone can come and put a proposal in, and actually, if the proposal is good, it's voted upon, and that can enhance the actual either of the security of the protocol, the technical stack of it, or improving capital efficiency or any type of strategy. So I would say in overall, the growth has been very much driven by this whole concept of DeFi renaissance that I like to call it, where we start to see that these decentralized organizations are actually becoming, they're able, such as Aave, for example, they're able to actually create a piece of infrastructure that is very has a high utility for the users on the blockchain, and based on that high utility, generate actually revenue into the DAO, the decentralized organization, and then taking that revenue and using that also to stimulate growth. So in overall, I think that's a big part of it, and also the capital efficiency and the risk management tools that are available within the protocol itself with the Aave V3 technology is what drives a lot of that traffic actually. And now the team is actually, and the community is building the next generation of liquidity markets, a version 4 that is just going to build on the same fundamentals, but also increase the capital efficiency and improve the risk management tools and making it more granular and also more capable towards real world assets. So we believe a lot of these traditional assets are coming on chain, and we want to be ready to provide that technology to bring a lot of that finance into a more efficient and transparent infrastructure.
And Sergey, remind us how Chainlink's role in capital markets has evolved, and what are its plans for expanding collaboration with key institutions in 2025?
So just like Chainlink was solidifying itself as the standard for DeFi and went on to power the majority of DeFi from that solidification in the years 2018, 2019, and 2020, right? Leading up to DeFi summer and the massive DeFi boom that then went to make DeFi one of the defining characteristics of the blockchain industry. What Chainlink as a community is doing now is solidifying itself as a standard in the capital markets. So for the global asset managers of the world, the global banks of the world, the global financial market infrastructures of the world, on the key dimensions that they need to operate in the blockchain economy: data transmission, value transmission, and identity. So the ability to be the way that all of these institutions interact with each other, and that way, that standard, that protocol that defines how data flows across those institutions, how value flows across those institutions, how identity is proven between those institutions using existing identity systems, existing data systems, existing forms of value that are now being repackaged into the real world asset format. And that same set of standards being how the DeFi world works will actually allow us to start merging the DeFi world and the capital markets TradFi world into one big global blockchain economy. So I feel that this year is the year where that process of solidification of Chainlink as a standard is now going to be taking very strong roots, because it's already something the Chainlink community has been working on for the past 2-3 years very actively, with a lot of integrations, a lot of adoption by the capital markets. And I feel that this year, a lot of that will be solidified, making the capital markets run on Chainlink data protocols, cross-chain protocols, identity transmission systems and protocols. And then that will allow them to very easily interface with the DeFi protocols that are already on those set of standards. And so not only will Chainlink become solidified as the way to do all of that activity, but as it gets solidified in that way, it makes it easier for DeFi to get adopted by the capital markets. And I feel that the RWA trend and the fund tokenization trend is what is going to very heavily drive all of this adoption, similarly to how DeFi drove a lot of Chainlink adoption in the 2018, 19, 20, and 21 period.
Mm-hmm. Stani, I'd like to ask you about World Liberty Financial, and Sergey, if you can follow up on this as well. And this year, World Liberty Financial, a crypto project supported by the Trump family, chose to build on Aave and partnered with Chainlink. What is the significance of this, and what do you expect to see in 2025?
Well, first of all, I think it's a big statement of how important open source technology can be and actually be the preferred option to build a financial product or depending on the different types of user bases. So I think in general that's a big statement for the whole industry, because the whole Ethereum ecosystem and wider in crypto, a lot of the technology is built by open source standards and on the standards of being able to share code, having the transparency to audit all the transactions, and just building more auditable, better, faster, stronger, efficient financial infrastructure for everyone to use. So seeing that actually happen and Aave being chosen for that and Chainlink is also a testament of choosing the state-of-the-art technologies that are available and services that are available in decentralized finance and beyond, and using that to extend those that technology to build actually end user services and products to wider audience. And I believe and echo quite a lot what Sergey mentioned, that there's this kind of moment happening where we build this interesting financial infrastructure on the blockchain, and now the traditional financial institutions are actually interested in adopting the technology, and that bridging is going to happen going onwards. And this particular example shows that you can take a stack that is working really well, has that Lindy effect, is secure enough and services that purpose, and extend that to wider audience. And we believe a lot of the financial infrastructure will be run with similar type of a setup with Aave and Chainlink.
Yeah. And Sergey, from your perspective, the significance of this project from Chainlink's point of view.
I think what a lot of what Stani said is exactly right. It's very impressive that the existing stack for how DeFi works, which is basically Aave and Chainlink, is what's getting adopted by a new entrant, right? So the new entrant isn't choosing to build their own technology. They're not choosing to build their own stack. They're not choosing to rebuild the fundamental infrastructure building blocks. They're choosing to adopt an existing infrastructure and an existing way of building a decentralized financial product. In this case, Aave and Chainlink, which work so well together and have the longest historical track record of being secure for these types of DeFi operations, which is one of the reasons that I know that team chose this stack. What this basically shows is that as more and more new entrants come in to the blockchain industry, they have no need to rebuild existing infrastructure. They can form a deal with the Aave DAO, a revenue share agreement like the World Liberty Financial team has. They can adopt that stack. They can adopt the Chainlink protocols and the various systems of infrastructure that have been built around those protocols. And they can quickly launch their product in a secure, reliable way that the DeFi community and the larger financial community can evaluate as being secure, because they can see that they built it in a true and tested way that has been audited, has a history of security, has a history of securing, for example, in this case, over $30 billion of total value locked. There's no other on-chain system that secures that much money that's the same as Aave, right? So it makes sense that they adopted Aave as the standard for how you do this type of operation, because of its security track record, because of the value it secures, because of the quality of the infrastructure that was built there. And likewise for Chainlink, because of the 5+ years of security track record, the over 18 trillion in transaction value enabled. What's really impressive is just like the web world started to accelerate when there was all kinds of cloud and API services that any new developer could come in and use to build their web application. Now you have pieces of infrastructure that any developer can come in and use to build their DeFi application. And they don't have to worry about building that infrastructure. And this is what the blockchain community has been working towards for well over 5 years now. And I feel that World Liberty Financial is a very good example of a smart, high-quality team that has made a thoughtful analysis of how to build this type of application. And they've chosen pieces of reusable infrastructure and focused on making a good application instead of rebuilding infrastructure, which is in fact the trend that I think we're going to see more and more.
So, Stani, let's talk about that more broad trends, because to Sergey's point, 2024 really seemed to be the year of integration and user experience, and that shows a lot of maturation within the crypto space. So what are your predictions for the crypto industry in 2025? And then more specifically, what can we expect from Aave?
Yeah, I agree on the point made by Sergey that a lot of this infrastructure exists and it's battle tested and it's getting into a place where it could be used in any type of financial asset, and For me, it's kind of a natural progression where we went from paper to digital databases, and now we're just progressing into the blockchain as the substrate for recording and record keeping and financial transactions. What I would expect for 2025 is that we're going to see more and more institutions actually wanting to use the technology and build different types of use cases and extend to their own clients as well the ability to transact in DeFi. We will probably also see more tailored approach where we see deployments of the Aave protocol for specific tailored institutional use cases where the assets are more traditional and it provides more capital efficiency on a specific traditional institutional user base. We also see more of building access for institutional users to existing DeFi products that has been built on top of protocols like Aave or are powered by Aave and Chainlink. So I think that's going to be a big thing. And this all leads to the road of getting all finance to work on chain and just building more better efficiency and transparency. So that's what I'm expecting for 2025, that we're going to see more growth and more institutional adoption as well.
Yeah. And Sergey, I'm going to ask you the same question, because when we spoke about 2024 trends earlier in the year, it was around liquidity and accessibility, similar to what Stani is saying. So what major trends do you foresee shaping the blockchain industry and capital markets globally in 2025?
I think the real world assets trend is going to be a very big shift in how the industry works and is perceived. I count stable coins, gold coins, all commodity coins. I count the tokenization of anything with a real world state in the real world asset category. And under those numbers, the real world asset category already equals the size of the DeFi world, basically, when you count stable coins, commodity coins, all of these genuine real world backed assets. So I think the real world asset trend will continue to define our industry, and eventually it might even surpass the value in cryptocurrencies. I think that big shift is starting now. There will be regional expansions of real world assets. Real estate of certain types will be interesting in one region, carbon credits in another region, all of these categories. The biggest category with the most value, in my opinion, the one that will impact the capital markets the most, will be tokenized funds. I think BlackRock's BUIDL and various other tokenized funds have made a big impact on the capital markets view of blockchain technology, and more importantly, the blockchain technology powered global market. Because the BUIDL money market fund is one of the most successful BlackRock funds in existence. And that's widely known in the asset management community. So the tokenized fund trend will continue to be a very strong trend that will drive the buy side, the asset management side of the capital markets, to pull along the rest of the capital markets, which are basically a collection of service providers to the asset management buy side and the asset owners which the asset managers service. Then I think you're going to see a weaving together of various chains, and both the public and private chains, as well as the public chain DeFi world and the TradFi private chain world, into a single global internet of contracts. That is something that I think will happen more and more this year as well. So I think you'll have RWAs as a general overarching trend that's going to define our industry more and more and make it more real for the average user, more real than memes, more real than NFTs, more real than these, more speculative crypto things, which have their place in our industry, but it won't be the only thing our industry is about. Tokenized funds will drive a lot of capital markets adoption. And then the interconnection of all the different chains and the interconnection of all the different TradFi systems together with the public blockchain use cases will see a large influx of value come into our industry, which is one of the main things that we in the Chainlink community work on. And I think that large influx of value will benefit the industry generally, but it'll disproportionately benefit the protocols like Aave that are set up to provide the most security, the most reliability, the most high quality version. Because Aave is like the JP Morgan of DeFi. It's the most reliable version of what it does. And there is commonly in financial markets a flight to safety and a flight to quality. So once all of these places get interconnected, and once they have their money flowing into the blockchain economy, a large proportion, a large percentage of that money will flow to the most reliable systems, right? And so Chainlink's goal is to accelerate this RWA trend, to accelerate this fund tokenization trend, to create this highly interconnected world of blockchains where value can flow very easily from the TradFi world into the public blockchain world. And then I think that'll benefit the whole industry. The whole industry will grow. But also the systems that are the most reliable, I feel will benefit the most, because the type of capital we're talking about is on the more conservative side. And it'll want to be in the most reliable protocols, which in this case will be Aave and a small collection of others that are the most kind of blue chip, highly secure, highly reliable ones. And all of those protocols operate against a set of standards using the Chainlink standard.
All right. Appreciate the both of you setting the tone for 2025. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.